once again, everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time joining me today. Hi, my name is Hannah, and I am returning from a hiatus. It wasn't an intentional hiatus, but it was a hiatus. And if you do not know, or you just missed my last video where I talked about that, I'll link it in the description. It should be the last video on my channel right now, so you can go watch that if you want to know where I've been. But I am back, hopefully to stay, so hallelujah. Let's just get into this video because I'm still really upset about this encounter with Sally Beauty, and just it was a big deal. Okay, so I'm going to tell y'all every little minute detail of this entire story just so you can get the full picture here. And if you're new to my channel, I do that with most of my stories just so that I'm very, very clear with what happened. And sometimes it's still not super clear, so I have to elaborate. But yeah, let me just start off this video by saying I'm not mad about the policy, because I did try to return something without a receipt, and I'm not mad about the policy that you cannot get your original cash back. I'm not mad about that. I understand that. But I am mad about how this employee handled the situation, and I'm mad about how she spoke to me. So let me just put that out there. I'm not mad that, you know, Sally's wouldn't give me back my money because I didn't have my receipt. I'm not mad about that. I'm mad about the way that the employee handled the situation, and you'll see that when we get into this. But I just want to make that very, very clear, okay? Because I understand that stores have policies, and, you know, nobody's really exempt from that. So let's get into this. So now it's been about 3 weeks, but about 2 weeks ago when this happened, I had purchased a brand new Conair hair straightener for like $90, okay? It was supposed to be like top of the line, all right? And I bought this because my flat iron that I had bought from Sally's, I had it for 8 years and it finally gave up the ghost. I've never heard of like a flat iron lasting that long, but it did. I had it for 8 years. And I bought it at Sally's, so I was like, okay, cool. And it was like a branch of Conair. It wasn't Conair, but like the company, I think, is like Gilbert or something like that. But I looked it up, and it's kind of like a branch of Conair. So they didn't have any of the Gilbert kind at my Sally's. So I was just gonna get the Conair because it had really good reviews, like I'd researched it and everything. So I went into the store, and, you know, I picked out the flat iron, and I went to the cash register. And the lady at the cash register was super nice to me. She was like, oh, this is one of our best flat irons. Everybody who buys this, they love it. Like, it's awesome. I've used it before. It's so good. And I'm like, okay, awesome. And we kind of had a chat. And I was like, yeah, I told her, you know, I bought my previous flat iron here and it lasted me 8 years. So, like, I know that y'all have good stuff and, you know, you get what you pay for and all that. And she was like, yeah, that's awesome. You know, you really do. If you buy a good flat iron, it'll last you. So yada yada, we have this great conversation. She's super nice. So I left, okay? I used this flat iron for like 2 weeks, and then I mainly bought the new flat iron because, I mean, my old one was going out, but it could have lasted longer. But I bought it because we were going on this trip, and I didn't want anything bad to happen with my flat iron on the trip. So I was like, okay, this is awesome. I've got my brand new flat iron on our trip to Hot Springs. It's gonna be great. So I take it, and we were there for like 3 or 4 days. It was over the weekend. So second day of our trip, I wake up, I'm getting ready. I dry my hair, and I go to flat iron my hair. Well, the thing will turn on, but it won't heat up. Like, it's sitting there and it won't heat up. So I'm like, oh God, okay. Well, I thought it might have just been one of the outlets in the condo. I don't know why I was thinking that, because that doesn't really make sense, because it'll turn on, but it won't heat up. That's not really an outlet issue. If there was like a short in the outlet, it wouldn't turn on at all. But, you know, I tried like every outlet in our condo, and it just would not work. So I was really upset. And like, it delayed us a lot, because I asked my boyfriend Dustin, I was like, hey, will you go to Walmart and get me just a cheap little flat iron to use for the trip? Because, you know, I'm pissed off that my $90 flat iron that I paid good money for is not working, you know, less than 2 weeks having it. So he ran to Walmart. It set us back like an hour or an hour and a half because that Walmart is so huge and he had to go through it and find the flat irons and all this stuff. So it set us back a good bit that day of our trip, which I was really pissed off about. So anyway, we get back home after that, and like the day after we got home, I took it up to Sally's to try to exchange it because I didn't want my money back really. I just wanted to exchange for a different one. So silly me, I had either thrown away the receipt on purpose or I lost it. I don't remember. I'm just so forgetful that I don't remember what happened to it. But if you shop at Sally's, then you know that you can, like if you have a Sally card, it keeps track of all your purchases. So, you know, I didn't think too much of it because I was like, I'm not just trying to get my money back. I just want to exchange. Surely they can look it up and see where I bought it. So I go into the store with the flat iron and I'm like explaining it to the lady at the counter, and it's the same lady who sold me the flat iron. So, you know, I'm explaining it to her and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what happened to my receipt, but I mean, you remember me, right? You sold me this flat iron. She's like, yeah, I remember you. Your old one went out. And I was like, yeah. I was like, well, I don't have the receipt with me, but I just want to exchange it. Can we look it up in the system and just do a quick exchange? And she's like, no. Like her attitude changed like that. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I have a Sally card. And she's just like, we're not allowed to do that. And so I can't do anything for you. You're just going to have to keep it. Like, she just turned so nasty and I don't know why. And I was just like, well, I mean, you sold me this flat iron. You said it was great. And I spent $90 on it. And like, I'm a college student. I can't really just throw away $90. So we're going to have to figure out what we can do here. Like, you need to help me do something. And she's just like, no, have a nice day. And that pissed me off, y'all. Like, I went to my car, and I'm somebody who cries when they get like that mad. Like, I wasn't sad, I was mad. And like, I started crying in my car because I was so pissed off. So I called my mom and I was like, I don't know what to do. You know, she's telling me I just blew basically $100, $90 on this flat iron that doesn't work. It won't heat up. It's trash. Like, it's literally garbage. It's just like 3 pounds of garbage. It was really heavy. I don't know if it was 3 pounds, but anyway. And so she's like, well, you need to either ask for a manager or call corporate or something. So I was like, yeah, I was thinking about calling corporate. So I found their corporate number on Google and I called them. And I got this really nice lady and I explained it to her and she was like, oh yeah, let me transfer you. So she transferred me to another lady who was also super nice. I explained the situation. I told her, you know, if nothing else, I just want to file a complaint against this employee because of how nasty she was to me. Like, even if y'all can't do an exchange or anything, I just want to complain about that employee because she was so rude. And the lady was like, she didn't offer you an exchange? And I was like, no, she didn't. And she sold it to me. Like, she admitted that she's the one who sold it to me less than 2 weeks ago. And the lady was like, hold on, let me look this up in the system. So she asked me, she said, what's your phone number? I gave her my phone number because when I bought that original flat iron, I had to sign up for a new Sally card because I had a different phone number than my last card. Now I know that she could have just changed it, but she signed me up for a whole new card. So I was like, whatever. So I had just signed up like 2 weeks ago when I bought that flat iron. And so I gave her my new phone number. So there's no possibility that it was under my old number because this was a brand new account. And she said, no, ma'am, that's not, we can't find an account under that number. And I was like, what the heck? I gave it to her. And she said, okay, well, let's try your email address. So I gave her my email address. Now, my email address, my personal email address, has my first and last name in it. Okay? Well, she found it under that, and she said, sorry, my nose itches every time I put on makeup. But anyway, so after she pulled it up, she said, yeah, we have an account under that. And she said, is your first name spelled H-E-D-I? No, my name is Hannah. Hannah. And so I spelled out my first name, my last name for her. And she was like, oh, well, that's not what's in here at all. And she was like, can you confirm this 864 number? And I was like, no, ma'am, that's not the phone number. My phone number is this. And I gave her what I had already given her. And she was like, yeah, that's super weird. She was like, okay, let's just make sure that somebody, didn't put in the wrong information. Let's make sure this is the right account. She said, so the transaction was about 2 weeks ago, correct? And I was like, yes, ma'am, it was about 2 weeks ago. She said, so what was the approximate total of your purchase? And I said, it was about $90, a little bit more probably because of tax. And she was like, oh, okay. She was like, and is that the only thing you purchased? And I was like, no, I purchased that, and I purchased a little like $1 or $2 nail polish. It was super cheap. And she was like, okay, well, this is the right account. I'm confused. She was like, I guess this lady just put in your information completely wrong. And I was like, well, that's really weird because she made me spell everything out and like double checked it, like allegedly double checked it, probably trying to seem better than she really was, just putting in whatever, like she obviously didn't care. So she was like, okay, well, I have all your information changed, so everything is correct now. She said, and I do see this purchase in here, like I see the whole transaction ID and everything. She said, so what we can do is, she asked me, are you still near the Sally's? I said, yeah, I'm in the parking lot. So she said, okay, we'll just go back inside and hand the cashier the phone and tell her, you got a hold of corporate and that we can authorize the exchange. And I was like, okay. So I walked inside and I said, hey, I got a hold of corporate. They said that they can authorize an exchange. So I handed her my cell phone. Literally the first words out of this woman's mouth, she took my phone, put it to her ear, and she said, just like this, so how I know this is really corporate? First of all, that's probably the most unprofessional thing that you can do. Second of all, why would I lie about that? Literally anybody can call corporate. It's not like it's this really exclusive thing and you shouldn't believe somebody when they're calling corporate. Third, okay, so let's just say there was a chance that it wasn't corporate. How do you think that looks on you when you answer the phone and it's actually corporate and you're talking like that? That's a little bit stupid. I'm just saying. So apparently the lady on the phone started chewing her out and all this good stuff because she turned really apologetic really fast. She was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It's just that we've had all these people coming in claiming that they're on the phone with corporate and it's really not corporate and yada, yada, yada. And like, you can just tell. So she's doing that, okay? But then she's also like, well, usually corporate calls our store. Why didn't you call our store? And so they talk a little bit more and she hands me back my phone. So I put the phone back to my ear and the lady at corporate, she tells me, she said, she sounds pissed off, okay? She says, okay, so apparently this associate doesn't believe me that this is corporate. So I'm gonna have to call her store. And I was just like, okay. She said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on hold because if this doesn't work or she tries to not do it or whatever, I want to be on the phone with you still. And I was like, okay. So she put me on hold and then the store phone rings. The lady goes and gets the store phone. Shocker, it's corporate. And, she's having to give her store ID, her employee ID. She's having to give all this information to the lady at corporate. And she's starting to be apologetic again. She's like, I'm sorry, we just had people in here pretending like they're talking to corporate and they're not. And I'm just like, who would do that? Also, why do you think that only corporate could call your store? Literally anybody can Google the Sally store number and call you on the store phone. That doesn't really make sense, and it kind of just shows that you don't really know what you're doing. But anyway, so she gets the transaction ID from the lady at corporate, and it's taking her super long because she's having to ask, okay, so how do I do this? How do I put that in the register? What do I do? Yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, you've never done a return before? That's pretty basic at most like retailers. But anyway, this girl obviously did not know what she was doing and did not care about her job. It was pretty sad. So anyway, after like 20 minutes of that whole rigmarole, she gets off the phone and the lady on the phone's like, hey Hannah, you should have all your stuff right, so just call us back. This is my name, you know, call us back if you have any issues. So now this lady is just being as sweet as sugar to me. She's like, I'm sorry, it's just a policy and all this stuff, and just being nice. And she's like, it's really stupid if you ask me. And I'm like, the policy's not really stupid, because I mean, I understand, I've worked in retail. It's just the way that she talked to me when I was like, hey, I don't have my receipt. Like, it's pretty much just the way that she behaved when I explained the situation, and she was just really rude to me, like she just couldn't be bothered, and trash, get out of here, you know? It's just like stupid. So I was like, oh yeah, it's fine or whatever. So I went and picked out my new flat iron. I checked out. I left. But long story short, this lady at Sally's didn't know I'm not the one. I'm not the one. Today is not the day. Don't come for me, because I will call corporate. I really do not care. I will embarrass you in front of your manager. I'll embarrass you to corporate. To be honest, she embarrassed herself to corporate, because I was being very nice, very professional about it. But she wanted to try to, you know, come at me sideways and just talk to me like any type of way, and that's just not gonna happen. You know, it's just not. So think twice about going to Sally's if you know that there's a rude employee, or if you don't have your receipt or whatever, because in my experience at my Sally's, the employees are more often rude than not. Like, I've never really been there and been like, oh hey, they're really, really awesome, like they're super nice. Usually they're pretty snarky and like they don't have time for you. But I'm not bashing Sally's as a company, because everybody at their corporate was super nice and super helpful and super, you know, willing to accommodate me. So that was super great. I loved it. Their corporate, like, customer service is amazing. But yeah, that's this story about an unfortunate Sally's encounter. Thank you guys once again so much for joining me today. Leave me a like if you like this video, comment down below, and subscribe, because I make new videos every Monday and Friday. Thank you guys once again so much for joining me today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.